Hello, Star Lovelies. It's a great time to be a soul. Today we're talking about
Here we are, Intuitive Visionary, looking at those sneaky ways of lack. You're racing through life, you're juggling projects, you're dreaming up all these new ways to do things. Ideas are coming to you. You're running at the speed of light because you're pursuing those opportunities, and you're wondering why it isn't materializing, right? You've just done 3 podcasts, you've written an article, you've been in 4 groups, you've done all these great things, and yet there's no conversion for you, and you're wondering why. Well, I'm here to tell you it's because of those sneaky ways of lack. And for you, your top one is going at 100 miles an hour without stopping for anything. So what ends up happening is you are having those beautiful ideas. You do have those opportunities. You've brought them into the flow of your life and the flow of your business, and that is amazing. And yet you're chasing the next thing. And as things are coming to you, you're getting more ideas. And so maybe you started with a simple method that had 5 steps in it. And now all of a sudden you're on a podcast and you get a 6th step and you think this is so exciting. And then you talk about that, or you get an epiphany about the first one that's different than what it usually is or it used to be. And then you're off to the races. And yet your marketing material isn't caught up. Your messaging isn't caught up. Your team isn't caught up. Your systems aren't caught up. So you're out of alignment with what you're saying and materializing, with the people in front of you in those conversations. And yet the rest of your world, the rest of your business doesn't reflect that. So racing is interesting. It's your usual speed, but it's not actually going to materialize abundance for you because it's a sneaky way of lack. Because you're not in tune or in touch with who's right in front of you, or you haven't completed the circuit. You can even do this on sales calls or when you make an offer. You're talking so fast, you're moving so fast, people can't keep up with you and they get confused. And then therefore they're in a no space when they're really not in a no space. So what you want to do is you want to hit the brakes, you want to slow down. You want to let ideas percolate. You want to take that, I call it the 1 stitch forward, 2 stitch back. You have those first 5 steps in your method. I'm making this up, right? And I'll use mine even better. So in my do you know, like, and trust yourself method, I've got 3 steps in that. I have that beautiful knowing of yourself. I have that beautiful liking of yourself. I have the beautiful trusting of yourself. Now, all of a sudden, imagine I've been talking about this for a few posts or a few reels or a few podcasts. And I go in really deeply with the how you know yourself, intuitive visionary, and how you have an intuitive mind and how you have these beautiful epiphanies come to you. And to be purposeful with them is the key for you to be able to be clear with yourself for your vision, but with your audience for them to be able to say yes. And then I go into that liking of yourself to be able to have you beautifully in your power and for you to be making those connections and having those come to completion. Honestly, this is your kryptonite, where knowing yourself and being intuitive with all those ideas is your superpower. This power, being here, in that one place, is not. Now, what if all of a sudden you're like, wait, I want to hear the 3rd step or that about you trust yourself, but I'm off because I think I'm going to tell you about something different and I'm going to race and I'm going to talk really fast and I've all of a sudden lost it. You haven't completed the circuit. You don't know. Oh, trust in yourself is the money shot. This is where it comes in. And even though intuitive visionary, you do trust yourself, it's the fact that you don't stand in that same place and you don't own your power, which is why things aren't coming to completion. Feel how satisfying that was to hear the 3rd thing? A lot of times, I'm an intuitive visionary too. A lot of times we don't actually complete. When we slow down, when we have a plan, when we put things in place, we're able to curate the opportunities. And that's where the conversion happens. And that's where the abundance lies. So it doesn't feel good to slow down, but guess what? You don't have to do it all the time, but you do want to do it thinking that 1 stitch forward, 2 steps back anytime you're in communion with someone else. That's in the social media realm. That's in a group. That's in a conversation. That's with a client. When you're by yourself and you're having those ideas come in and you're just flush and flourishing with them, have at it. It's awesome. Go for it. You can be running at the speed of light, and that's beautiful. That was just the first way that lack is super sneaky. But for you, it's 80% of it. Because the other three that I'm going to talk about, they're really experiences for everyone. And I'm just taking that intuitive visionary lens to tell you how they work for you. And that first one is judgment. So a lot of times for judgment, you're not really there. You're not saying, well, gee, he's doing this, she's doing that, or I'm doing this. So judgment doesn't even seem to be on the radar, but yet it is so incredibly subversive that you don't even notice that it's happening. So what tends to happen is if you have a situation, you have a conversation, and then you walk away from it. And then you feel like, well, that didn't go really well, but I'm wondering why. Or the person doesn't then reach out to you, or that next step doesn't happen that you assumed would. This is where judgment comes in. It comes in after the fact for you. So just in that example that we used about, you making an offer and you having a conversation with somebody, and that person, you think they're going to say yes, but then they don't immediately in your timing. Well, they have different timing. Remember, you're at the speed of light, they're not. So they're just in a different syncing process, right? So you might then go into that judgment to say, well, did I say what I wanted to say? Did I do what I wanted to do? Why isn't that person coming back to me? Allow yourself to give space and grace for this too, and realize that you may feel off center or out of balance, and you're recreating a situation and you're telling yourself a story and you're doing something that's judgment. Go into possibility and joy, which is your normal state of being anyway. Gee, that person may have had a vacation coming up that you didn't know about, or that person may have gotten sick, or that person may have had a question. So just reach out and say, hey, is everything okay? I've been thinking about you. Simple as that. And then you can find out where they are. And you're going to find out it's one of those things. And then you can say, okay, how can I support you? And if they come back to you, great, and they give you a way too, then you can say, great, and you can respond. Or a few days later, you can say, gee, I'm feeling like the support would be really beautiful. How can I support you right now? And give them options of support. This is a beautiful way to be in that joy and that openness that is your typical energy anyway, versus dropping into judgment. Now, the next sneaky way of lack is investing in yourself. So a lot of times people invest in themselves and they sign up for a workshop, or they sign up for a program, or they sign up with somebody. Well, for you, intuitive visionary, you often do it and don't actually know what the components are. So you just had that feeling and you're like, this feels so good. This person is aligned with me. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sign up for that. And what ends up happening is you don't even know what the opportunity or the whole program is. And so you're not curating the things because you don't even know what they are. So while you are in that yes mode for investing in yourself, great. Kudos to you for doing it, by the way, because that's awesome. Take the time to say, okay, what's involved in this container? What comes with this program? For my Rich and Powerful Leaders program, depending on your level, you get some one-on-one time with me, you get a beautiful workshop with me, you get a power hour, you get, depending on your level, you get a magic seat, you get a half-day VIP once or twice a year, and you get a 2-day intensive. For my intuitive visionaries, I know that they don't know all that. I know that they're like, great, I loved this. They may have loved the workshop part, or they might have loved that initial onboarding session that they have with me that I walk into stars the minute they're born, like whatever it is, and they're fixated on that. I make sure with my intuitive visionaries that I, at being one, I do this all the time, don't actually know what the components are. So I spend some fun time having a conversation with them to make sure that they know. When you're on the receiving end of that, though, and you're the one making that assessment, and you're the one delivering, or you're the one receiving that program, take the time. Make it fun. Pour your favorite beverage and just look it over, and then get into a conversation with somebody else, because that's when it's really going to come clear to you. Reading an ad nauseum landing page or program is not going to do it for you. So that's that one way to invest in yourself. That's on the receiving end. On that giving end, where there's that free, kind of life that we live now in the online space, especially, or in the in-person place, it's a buyer's world these days. So the buyers have so many options to choose from. They can take their time doing it. So it's done two things. One, it's made it a much more competitive field, or much more noisy field, however you want to think about it. The other thing is it's made that buying cycle a lot longer. Intuitive visionary, this doesn't work for you at all. So what you want to do is you want to look at the opportunity creation of being in a space where you're adding value. But again, you want to be in the reciprocity piece to it. So if you're forming a collaboration, or if you are involved in a referral network, or if you are part of a group like a BNI or something like that, you want to make sure that you're investing in yourself. You can help everybody and you can have great ideas for people, but what's in it for you? So before you walk into that room, virtual or otherwise, ask yourself, what am I looking to get out of this hour, half hour, 15 minutes, conversation, whatever that is, and really set that up. Use your intuition and say, ooh, I'm opening, this could become a client situation, or this could be an amazing collaboration, or no, this isn't my place. This isn't my person. And just give yourself the energy for those opportunities, even when it's a no. And just so then when you go in, just listen to other people and just be like, not my space, and get in and get out quickly. Okay, so the last way that lack comes in for you, Intuitive Visionary, is your story holds you hostage. So this is where we spend time determining our story. Well, I'll say that you're not really attached to that. You're like, it's my story, so what? But look at all this opportunity. Look at all this great stuff we can do. Look at this inspiration. And yet people, when they don't feel like they know you, they don't drop into that liking you. So this is where your sales cycle often looks like that opening because you inspire somebody, and that closing if they're ready to do if they're direct, they make decisions really quickly, which only 5% of the buying community does. So there's a whole 95% of people out there that if they don't like you, or they don't even know you enough to like you, they're not loyal. So that's when people come in and people come out, and people come in and people come out. So you're constantly in that hunting and gathering. When you actually take the time to know your story, be able to communicate it, then people have something to respond to. Then they feel like they can identify with you. Then they feel like they can understand and appreciate where you're coming from. And then they can know and comprehend and become more aware and identify with what you're doing, offering, inviting, delivering, inspiring about. So this actually gives them a placeholder, a place to be and land, so that you can take them in that beautiful, inspiring journey that you want to take them on. So these are the 4 sneaky ways of lack, and how you can circumvent them, because we want you to be able to get the abundance that you deserve for all of the beautiful inspiration that you put into the world and all the potential that you anchor for others. So thank you so much for listening, Intuitive Visionary. Let us go forth and prosper. And if you want to know more around abundance for you, and abundance based on your zodiac, or abundance based on the timing, you can go and look at that playlist for the Intuitive Visionary. It's the most helpful because you get the tips just for you, and you can leave some time and space for you to integrate them. So as always, thank you so much for listening and sharing with friends.
Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for more ways to use the stars strategically to align with your soul purpose, reclaim your power, and increase your prosperity. Please rate and review your favorite episodes, and remember to check out my website at kimwoods.com for my latest forecasts, articles, and offerings. To find out your intuitive success signature, take my 12-question Do You Know, Like, and Trust Yourself quiz and find out how you're living your stars at yourstarmaptosuccess.com. I've so enjoyed our time together, as it's filled with the power of the stars plus strategy to clear the pathway to your success. Until next time, happy soul tidings.